know anything about this one, I just know it's a
Right.
private, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry, I don't know much.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I never understood the dark fiber thing either, but it's gotta be part of some business plan.
Well, the one that we made an agreement with was connecting the two hospital branches of UHC. It was a direct, they were gonna sell that to UHC to let them have direct fiber to the hospital and to other UHC systems. So they are actually installing their own fiber, UHC.
Does anybody have a map, like a rolling map that
Of
shows
all the
all these
fiber?
pieces that are out there?
I thought Kelly had that.
That might be part of the
Yeah, that's-
broadband, that might be part of broadband study.
Feasibility, right?
Mhm.
I think Kelly had that, I thought I saw
She
it.
might, I don't know.
And where are we at with that study? Has Greeley finally got that going, or?
Yeah, you're gonna have an update December 4th, in the work session. You have Comcast next week. They, I reminded them that their franchise is up in 3 years.
2020.
And, so I said, it's an open-ended agenda, I said, and I reminded them they've got this request out here, on 19 Road, Windsor is Ranch Estates, I believe it is, the one across catty corner from, 19 and 72. Is that, does everybody know what that is? So it's on the northwest corner of that subdivision, the big estate lots,
Windsor Estates.
Windsor Estates, and they made a request. And Comcast originally said, oh, and I said, wait a minute, you're across the street now within a half mile because of the new subdivision to the catty corner. And they said, oh, okay, we have to figure out how much that's gonna cost them re-engineer. And I said, okay, we're gonna bring it up next Monday.
Okay.
Because I've not done a formal letter to them, but I'm ready to, if they don't have a good answer next week, do something that says, you're not compliant with a franchise, you must provide service on this, you're supposed to give us a date specific within that. You have not done that.
By granting them this franchise, they're under certain obligation to
Yes.
deliver.
Half mile. When service comes on a half mile from their system, they're to provide cable.
So ideally, as the community expands this way,
Mm-hmm.
the problem is if we expand out here,
Yeah.
they're not obligated to,
Like Harmony Ridge,
yeah,
because that's one.
They are not obligated to. They-
under our franchise agreement.
Correct.
Because that's 1.5 mile.
But
Correct.
as an example, if they have service in
Okay.
Harmony Ridge in Timnath,
It might be a half mile, but
if
I've not
they're,
heard any problems up there, so they must have
No.
extended it.
but I mean, in theory, if
Yeah.
it's based
Well, it
on
could be
their
across,
system, not
across the
ours.
street in Harmony Club or whatever. that they
I
have.
don't know, I don't know if it says the closest, I don't know if it says, I don't know if there's any overlap between systems or not. And then-
We're not talking about extending their franchise agreement next week, are we?
No, so part of what I remind them of is that it's coming up, we should probably mention that. And then lo and behold, they sent a letter saying, you're right, here's our notice to get started on negotiations. And it's a very standard letter that says, well, we recognize our franchise is up and we're reserving certain rights of ours within this, but we are recognizing that the franchise negotiations should start probably as early as next year.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that, how that works.
Will be interesting to see if they're a little bit more amenable and willing to work, considering they lost like 17 communities in the last election, including Fort
Right.
Collins. So that's a pretty substantial number, potentially, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
lost, but,
Right.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
don't think they're too worried yet, because the pricing's gotta be there, there's the time to put it all in. And all they'll do is get more competitive on their pricing.
Well, you would
That's
hope
what
so,
capitalism
but they
at its
really
finest.
fought
That's
against
what I'm
Fort
looking at,
Collins, so
yeah.
Right.
obviously
Yeah,
they did not
absolutely.
want that initiative to
Oh,
pass.
sure.
We spent,
Well, they
what,
put a lot of money in it.
half,
Yeah,
$250,000?
$250,000.
Oh, yeah. They could put a lot of fiber in for us on that.
Yep. Anything changed on the, or an update, because I know, I'm just guessing Rocky Mountain Sports Park will come up Saturday, other than what you gave to the folks last week for stepping stones.
Oh, yeah, we did meet with Stepping Stones, by the way.
Yeah.
I did that last Thursday.
Okay.
That went well, so.
Good.
So, it's been 3 weeks, and there's nothing,
Nothing?
except for tonight's annexation. They did submit a master plan, a
Oh, they
preliminary
did.
master plan, I think. Yes, they did, and so that's, we may be meeting with them on Thursday on that.
And remind me in our process with the submittal of that, because where after that process, how soon is there any kind of public then?
There's a
Input.
rezoning piece still.
Oh, we still have to go through that, okay.
There'll be rezoning, there'll be this annexation. Tonight, that you're accepting the petition on.
Thought it was used by right.
Yeah.
No, there's a chunk up there that is not always, is not zoned properly.
Okay.
Unless they took it out of this master plan, but there was a chunk that needs rezoning.
Okay, but if they don't have to go through rezoning, would their next step be?
If they had no public, they have nothing that needs to go to public, if they have all their entitlements in place.
So the master plan would be required before subdivision, if they wanna create lots.
Yeah, I mean, but there's nothing that requires a public hearing per se, or a formal approval.
Not even a neighborhood meeting?
Master plan.
Does the master plan require? Okay, never mind.
It does require, because that's what we've been telling these folks
Yep.
all along in the
Yes,
process,
yes, yes.
that they will have their day, there will be, when something's submitted.
I was thinking about this.
And so I just wanna make sure if that's changed, I need to like
Yeah.
inform them ASAP, so they don't, like, I don't wanna be misinforming them.
So you're amending a master plan tonight out at Great Western? That's because you approved the master plan back in 2000, whenever that was, 2008.
Yeah, it's quite a while.
So, yeah,
But is there a required public hearing?
it's quasi judicial.
Master plan is?
Under our code right now, it's done in public, there is no
Okay.
required public hearing, but it is done in public.
Could we accept public?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Just like tonight, when you amend the master plan out at Great Western, there's no public hearing because of the way the code's written.
Yeah.
But you still want to give the applicant a full and fair opportunity to be heard, and anybody else who wants to speak on matters that are relevant.
So other than the piece that they may need rezoned, which then goes through the normal publication and notification, are there any steps that we anticipate where they are going to have that?
I'll make sure that
normal-
you all have that. We'll do that. Because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
No, that's okay, I should probably have that by Saturday though,
Yeah.
kinda like, if there is going to be a
Yeah.
public input opportunity, whether it's the neighborhood meeting or
Yeah.
it's the formal public hearing, where and when will that come
What are the
into
various
play?
steps?
Because that's the one thing I assured these folks all along, is we have not seen anything formally submitted to date. And once that process begins, then they would certainly have opportunity to provide, their feedback, input, whatever.
What I'm hearing is there's no place in the process where they're required to do a public notification and to have a public meeting.
I will,
Maybe.
let me get you all the, I'll say all the
I'm trying to
various.
think what step they would
I'll let you know if there's a rezoning gonna be required.
Okay,
I'll let you know if there's what the steps of the annexation are. I'll let you know what the steps of the master
Okay.
plan are. And the plan approval. So,
Okay.
sorry, I don't know that off the top, I always forget, so. I should, you would think. But I don't.
Okay.
Let's see, that's all I've got. Next week we have the crosswalks, and we have Comcast coming in, special meeting. And then, 27th is regular meeting. You wanna do your executive session that night on, what was it that you wanted to do about?
The IEC, the
Do you know what that means?
Independent Ethics Commission, came up a year ago. The Ethics Commission has done sort of a power grab. I would like to take you into a private session and talk with you about what that could mean to all of you. Julie Cozad is right now dealing with that, where you know, a home rule county has a code of ethics, but somebody complains to the IEC. I would hate to have that happen to any of you before we talk about it privately. You know, not that I expect it, but you know, if it happens in Boyle County, it could happen here. So that, it won't take long, but I would like to talk with you about that on the 27th.
I did have a question about the crosswalks. What do we expect to happen next Monday? or
You're gonna have the consultant come in
Okay,
and give you, and the team, give you kind of their work.
okay.
You mull it over and decide if you like it or don't like it, or you wanna sit on it and think about it. It's gonna be generally a formula-driven decision-making matrix on how you will want to implement crosswalks
Okay.
in the future. Bigger question, I think, and I don't know this answer, is what do we do with our existing ones? Do we just grandfather it, or do you try and run the formula on them
Upgrade
to
it,
see?
right,
Yeah, so you,
Depends on the safety issue.
yeah,
I got 4 or 5 neighbors asking me about crosswalks weekly.
Yep.
So debating on whether to invite them out, I think not.
I don't think, I think it's
I don't
really
think
the
we-
science, it's gonna be it's gonna be
And I'll
your,
just give them a report of, here's what we're looking at, here's
Right.
what we have to do next.
this will be the document that you'll use to develop policy, and if, whether you adopt it, or modify it, or change it, what are the steps?
Okay.
When are we looking for adoption of that?
After next week, whenever you're ready. If you like it, or you may say, this is, you want something different, or something. It's kind of our best attempt at something, to see if you like it, a formula-driven method.
I want to handle it soon, because people, it's like broadband, they vote for it, they think it's gonna be tomorrow. You know, so if they tell people, talking about cloud, they expect something today, you know, so.
Yeah,
I'm trying to handle that with, tell them we need to get data, we
Yeah.
need to have a plan, and,
Yeah.
trying to hold them down,
right.
and hopefully nobody gets.
It's a pretty intricate process.
No, hopefully no key gets hit before we do this.
Okay, Dean's here for a few minutes. Dean, we have about 15 minutes.
Okay.
If you can just quickly review kind of modifications you did in the public budget.
Can you take one of each of those? Please.
So what we have here is, you remember we had our capital improvement plan presentation back in August, and then we had a budget retreat in October. And what we have here tonight is a memo that describes the pages with the numbers on them. The pages with the numbers on them, they're keeping track of things we've added or deleted since our work session on, our retreat on October 7th. So it's broken down, it's subtotaled by funds there. And the way to read this is on the far left column. That's the description. Some of them are a little cryptic, but I'll try and walk through them. The next column is what we had shown as budgeted number in our version of the budget on October 7th. Then the next 2 columns are added and removed from that version. Then the next column, there's also a column that says moved, which that one appears on the capital improvement page. And then the next column is the new budget as to what we are going to present in the public hearing budget that we do on the 27th. And then the final column is the net change as a result of this. So the first item there, the police property evidence officer, it says budgeted about $3.5 million. That's not just for that officer. That's for, that's the personal services amount of the police budget. That includes salaries, overtime, payroll taxes, staff development, stuff like that. So the next column, you see 22,866. What that is, that adjustment is we're increasing that personal services portion of the police budget. We had originally had in the budget that the evidence officer would start April 1st. we moved it back to start at the first of the year. That 22,000 is the difference that those 3 months' salary and related property taxes make. So that one wound up, give us a new budget of $3,577,494. The next line is we had talked about paying off the loan on the solar panels that we have here on the town hall. That's gonna be about 175,000 that we added. The next one here, Director of Public Services. This is split out between GF means general fund, WF is water fund, SF is sewer fund. It's additional, to hire that position, it's an additional 52,561 in each of those funds. And again, that includes payroll taxes, salary, our portion, the town's portion of health insurance, that kind of thing. Next item is tornado anniversary. We had talked about putting money in there to celebrate or commemorate the 10-year anniversary of the tornado. We have 15,000 in there for that. The engineering salary, that one works in conjunction with the Alliant and the water fund. The water resource manager is, we were talking, Dennis is now our current department head of engineering. He's going to be the water resource manager, but he's not gonna start that until 2 months into the year. So we're adjusting that salary between the water fund and the general fund, because currently he's in the general fund completely. Last item in the general fund, we talked about putting some extra money towards retiring the debt. What we need to do on that, the WBA is the owner of the police station. The annual payment that we pay out for that loan to the USDA is $145,080. And all that money comes from a transfer from the general fund. So if we're going to double up the payment, we need to transfer more money down to the building authority, which is a little further down here. So the net increase to the general fund is $413,068. The next fund is the park improvement fund. We had a phase addition in Diamond Valley. We had listed at $4.3 million in the October edition of the budget. We had Eric cut some things out of that project, $710,000 out of that project, and bringing it down to 3.6 for a revised figure. We also spoke about neighborhood park fees. The homes in Rain Dance are not going to pay the neighborhood park fees, so we made an adjustment of 10% of the budget number there. So
It's a swag. We don't know.
it is, we talked about it for a while, and we went to like 10%.
Some sort of like.
So the net decrease in expenditures in the park improvement fund, $560,913. Conservation trusted fund is pretty easy. We have a grant coming in and the associated money going out. That we're just facilitating that grant. It's not gonna cost us anything, but we had to have a place to record that stuff.
But don't we have something on our agenda tonight that is gonna be? Or does that come out of this year's budget, or will we be doing that at the end of this year?
Yeah, we may have to amend it. We may have to.
50,000, isn't that the request?
50.
Yeah.
50,000.
I thought it was out of this year.
That's
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Oh, so that'll come out of this year's budget.
Oh, it's not in 2018?
right.
I thought it was going to be. It's not?
I have to look at the material again.
Okay.
Okay.
Dean would know.
I was thinking it was coming out of this year's budget, actually,
Money's money.
so.
Dean, any other highlights? We have to move this along
Okay.
quickly.
Just more double payments. Down in the sewer fund, we have increase in payment of the Headworks loan. And the water fund, we also have a double payment. We increased the payment for the current loan. Again, down in IT, I wanted to point, we added $7,000 for time card software for Parks and Recreation. I want to point out there that 208,035 number, that is not the Park and Recreation software. That's the entire software maintenance contract for the entire operation. So that's the biggest stuff on the operational side. On page 2 are items that we added since our capital improvement fund meeting in August. You see we added some money for the Jacoby easement along the number 2 ditch trail in the Conservation Trust Fund. Main sidewalk improvement at the railroad to First Street, we added 10,000 to that. We had better numbers there. Added Main Street restriping and bulb outs. Lakeview Cemetery storm line extension, and Chimney Park detention pond in the storm drainage fund. And, I skipped over the biggest one there, sorry. Water transmission line connecting North Weld County water. We got that's another instance of getting better numbers for a project, so we increased it by that. Here's where I mentioned we used the moved column. We had 2 entries in there. The easement for the number 2 ditch on Jacoby Road, we had planned to do that in this year, but we won't get to that until next year. The Chimney Park detention pond, same thing. That's from 2017, carrying over to 2018. So we wanted to show you this tonight so we didn't have to do this exercise at the public hearing on the 27th. So take them with you if you have any questions.
Well, I'm wondering if there's another project that we need to add in lieu of the library not passing the sidewalk there that we had talked about, that
Yeah.
we had kind of potentially held that discussion until we saw where that went, and we know now that that initiative has failed, and kind of promised those folks that if that was the case, we would look at that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we need to look at it first and then we decide, or what?
Well, I think it was 70,000, wasn't it, Dean?
I have a note about 45,000.
45,000.
Yeah.
So I think if you wanted to do it next year, you would make an amendment, you would, during your budget adoption, you would amend the budget to add that project. Right, Dean?
Yeah, what I'll do is, if you want to go ahead and include that, I'll leave a note for Vicki, and then she'll include it in the budget, and it'll be part of our adoption of it.
Well, do you want that, or do you want the amendment that night? Because you guys want to think about that a little bit, or do you want to go ahead and add it?
Wasn't that part of our discussion, that we would do that because we knew that the library might not pass?
Well, I don't know that we agreed
Well, I
to have the
totally agree.
conversation, but I don't know if the board feels ready to move on that,
Oh,
or
I'm
have a
sorry.
conversation. I mean, we might be,
I thought
I
you
don't
were
know
saying-
that we really had.
Would you say
that
curb and gutter and
conversation.
sidewalk?
It's just sidewalk.
Just sidewalk.
Sidewalk?
And it's from the corner.
Actually,
There's a
I
little
went
bit
by
of
today,
sidewalk.
there is some to the west.
Yeah,
It goes up to the library lot, so the
There's
first
a little
lot's
stub.
covered.
Okay,
We're gonna,
So-
we're gonna need it at some point, let's get it done,
okay.
I would support it.
let's make some
Yeah.
friends.
Okay. I'd add it to the budget. I get,
Okay.
and when it comes, we could always, make it-
Okay.
if something else happens. we
Well,
could-
last thing we want is kids riding their bikes
Right.
out on the street because they don't have a complete sidewalk.
All right, you ready to go do curb? Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, sir.
How is it that the Great Western Trail thing could be in this year's budget when it wasn't even a topic